I've lived alone for almost a year now, but nothing that's happened in this apartment has ever come close to what I experienced on a rainy Thursday night in July. Even now, when I walk past the laundry room on the ground floor, I feel my stomach tighten. It's strange how a place you've gone to 1,000 times without thinking can suddenly become a trigger. I should start from the beginning. It was about 10:30 p.m. when I remembered I had clothes sitting in the washing machine for nearly 2 hours. I had just gotten off a long shift, and honestly, I was half asleep. The apartment building I live in is old. Cement floors, flickering hallway lights, and a basement laundry room that always smells faintly like wet concrete and detergent. I've never liked being down there alone at night, but I didn't want my clothes to mildew, so I grabbed my laundry bag and went downstairs. The building was unusually quiet, even for a Thursday. No footsteps above me, no distant conversations, no TVs bleeding through the walls. Just silence. When I reached the basement door, the motion sensor light above it flickered twice, then turned on. That was the first thing that made me uneasy. The second thing happened the moment I pushed open the door. The air down there felt heavy. Maybe it was the humidity from the rain outside, but it felt like walking into a room right after someone else had left, like their presence was still there. The laundry room itself is tiny. 4 machines, 2 dryers, and a storage closet that the building manager keeps padlocked. One of the fluorescent lights overhead buzzes constantly, giving the whole room a sickly, bluish tint. When I walked in, something felt off. I couldn't explain it, but every instinct in my body told me something was wrong. I went to the washing machine, opened it, and started transferring my clothes into the dryer. My ears were ringing from the quiet. I kept glancing behind me, half expecting someone to be standing in the doorway. I shook it off. I told myself I was tired, paranoid, and making something out of nothing. But when I closed the dryer door, I noticed something I swear hadn't been there before. A single wet footprint on the ground. It was small, barefoot, and pointed toward the back of the room, near the storage closet. I froze. I hadn't walked over there, and the floor around the footprint was dry. Completely dry, as if someone had stepped there recently. I tried to convince myself maybe one of my neighbors had just finished their laundry before me, but the footprint looked fresh. Too fresh. I stared at that wet print for a long time, long enough that I didn't notice the dryer beside me slowly coming to a stop. The power didn't go out. The machine didn't break. It just stopped, like someone pressed the button. Behind me. I turned so fast I nearly slipped, but nobody was there. Just the machines, the buzzing light, the storage closet at the back of the room. That was when the quiet broke. "You shouldn't be down here this late." A man's voice, deep, calm, close. I spun around again, my heart jumping into my throat, but the room was empty, completely empty. The voice had come from the direction of the storage closet. Every instinct I had screamed at me to run, but something stronger, maybe fear, pinned me in place. I took one slow step backward, watching the door to the storage closet like it might open on its own. That was when I noticed it, the padlock, the heavy metal padlock that always hung on the closet door, was gone. The closet door was open. Just an inch, maybe 2. Not enough to see inside, but enough to see darkness, enough to hide someone. My hands started shaking uncontrollably. Each breath felt too loud, too fast. I wanted to run. I told myself, begged myself to run. But then I heard it, a soft, wet, dragging sound coming from inside the closet, like bare feet moving across concrete, slowly, coming closer. I grabbed the laundry bag off the floor and back toward the door, trying to keep my eyes on that closet. I reached behind me, feeling blindly for the door handle. My fingers touched metal. I grabbed it, I pulled. But the door wouldn't open. It wasn't locked. It felt like something heavy was leaning against the other side, pushing back. I didn't turn around. I refused to turn my back to that closet. My heart was hammering so loudly I could barely hear. The dragging sound stopped. For a moment, everything was silent again. Then, from inside the closet, someone whispered, "Come here." Not shouted, not growled, just whispered. Softly, like we were sharing a secret. That broke me. I turned, slammed my shoulder into the door, and burst into the hallway so fast I nearly fell. I didn't stop running until I reached the stairs. When I looked back, the basement door closed on its own. Not fast, slowly, like someone was pushing it gently. I reported everything to the building manager the next morning. He looked concerned but tried to brush it off. He said he'd lost the padlock a few days ago and hadn't gotten around to replacing it. He told me the closet only held old paint cans and cleaning supplies. When we went downstairs together, everything was normal. Closet locked, lights steady, no footprints, no sign anyone had been there. He said maybe I imagined the voice. Maybe the footprint was from me. Maybe the power to the dryer glitched. But I know what I heard. I know what I saw. I haven't done laundry at night since. And every time I walk past that basement door, I swear I still hear that whisper, "Come here." And every time, I walk faster. I've always been a light sleeper, and living alone doesn't help. Every sound feels like it carries meaning. Every creak, every shift, every car door outside. My apartment isn't in a dangerous neighborhood, but it's old, and old buildings talk at night. But what happened to me last winter wasn't just my building talking. It was someone else. Someone who had been inside my home. It all started on a cold Friday night during a power outage. The wind was brutal, pushing against the windows so hard they rattled. I had just finished dinner and planned to watch a movie, but right as I turned on my TV, everything went dark. Lights, heater, TV, all dead. My apartment fell into silence, the kind that feels heavy. I checked outside my window and saw others in the building had lost power too, so I figured it wasn't just me. I grabbed my phone flashlight and started walking around the apartment, checking windows, plugging in my charger, anything to stay busy. The outage wasn't what scared me though. It was the fact that as I walked past my living room window, I saw something I couldn't explain at first. The window was unlocked, not open, just unlocked. I never, and I mean never, forget to lock that window. It's ground level. Anyone outside could slide it open with enough force. I felt a knot in my stomach as soon as I saw it. I stood there staring at the latch for a long time, trying to remember if I had been careless that day. But I knew I hadn't, and then something clicked in my head. Earlier that week, I came home and found my couch slightly moved from the wall. I brushed it off because I thought maybe I'd done it while cleaning. Another time I found a glass on the counter that I swore I had already washed and put away. Little things, small things, things you ignore because reality is easier to handle when you pretend it's nothing. But now standing in the darkness with my window unlocked, all those little things added up. I locked the window tight and pulled the curtain shut. My heart was beating too fast for something so small, but it didn't feel small anymore. I tried to shake it off and sat on the couch to wait for the power to come back. The building was so quiet I could hear footsteps echoing somewhere above me. Not unusual, people moved around, but hearing them in pure darkness made every sound sharper. Around 20 minutes later, I heard it, a soft thump inside my apartment. I froze. It came from the hallway by my bedroom. At first, I told myself it was something falling, a shampoo bottle, a book, anything. But then I heard it again, a second thump, then a slow dragging sound. I stood up from the couch so quietly I barely breathed. My phone flashlight shook in my hand as I pointed it toward the hallway. I took one step forward, then another. That dragging sound didn't stop. It wasn't loud, but it was steady, slow, moving from my bedroom to the hallway toward me. I backed away instinctively. My mind was racing. I didn't have a weapon. The building was dark. My phone was my only light, and that sound was still getting closer. When I reached the front door, I quietly unlocked it and slipped into the corridor outside my apartment. The hallway was pitch black too, the emergency lights barely glowing red, but it felt safer than being inside. I stood there staring at my door, breathing fast and shallow. Then I heard it, a soft click, the sound of my bedroom door slowly opening, followed by footsteps, soft, bare, inside my apartment. They stopped right on the other side of my front door. I pressed myself against the wall, trying not to make a sound. Then, the doorknob turned, not fast, slowly, like whoever was inside wasn't trying to break out. They were trying to check if I was coming back in. I held my breath. The doorknob turned halfway, then stilled. And then, for the first time, I heard the intruder breathe. It was slow, calm, completely controlled. They were standing inches from me, separated only by the thin apartment door. I don't know how long we stayed like that. Me frozen in the hallway, them silent behind the door. It felt like hours. Reality didn't make sense anymore. I was standing outside my own home while someone else was inside, waiting. Finally, I heard footsteps walking away from the door. Not rushed, just casual. Like they knew exactly what they were doing. Like this wasn't their first time inside. I didn't go back inside. Not that night. Instead, I ran upstairs to my neighbor's apartment and begged to stay until the power came back. When it did, I called the police. We went inside together. Nothing was stolen, nothing broken. But in my bedroom closet, there was a blanket folded on the floor and a small pile of snack wrappers. Someone had been sleeping there, inside my home, probably for days, maybe weeks. The police said the intruder most likely entered through the ground floor window. They said I caught them off guard when I came home earlier than usual that evening, and they hid in the closet until the right moment. I moved out 3 weeks later, and now every time I hear a small noise in the night, I check the windows first. Because no matter how careful you think you are, someone else might be even quieter. I used to think routines kept me safe. Same wake-up time, same work schedule, same walk home, same lights-off hours. Routines make life feel predictable until the day someone else learns them better than you do. This happened 2 years ago when I was living in a small studio apartment on the edge of town. Not a dangerous place, but quiet. Almost too quiet sometimes. My building only had 6 units, and most of the tenants were older people who kept to themselves. It's important you know this detail. No one was ever outside at night. No one. My routine back then was pretty simple. I worked the late shift, so I didn't get home until 11:30 p.m. every night. I'd unlock my door, drop my keys in the same bowl by the entrance, microwave dinner, watch something on my laptop, and then crash around 1 a.m. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious, but looking back, that routine was exactly what made me vulnerable. It started with the feeling of being watched. One night I was walking up the stairs toward my apartment when I suddenly felt that heavy pressure on the back of my neck. The instinctive sense that someone is standing behind you. I turned. No one. The parking lot was still, empty except for my car. The wind wasn't even blowing. You know that dead, flat silence that feels unnatural? That's what it felt like. I brushed it off and went inside. But when I looked at my door, something was wrong. My welcome mat, this old gray thing that never moved because I never touched it, was shifted to the side. Not a lot, just slightly crooked. At first, I thought maybe I kicked it accidentally that morning, but then I remembered I never left through my own front door that day. I took the back staircase to my car like I always did. So why was the mat moved? I fixed it, went inside, locked the door, and tried to shake off the weird feeling. It was late and I was tired. That's what I told myself. But then things escalated. A few days later, I came home and noticed something else: my lights. I always turned off all my lights before leaving. The electricity bill alone forced me to. But that night my bathroom light was on. The door was cracked open, a thin line of white light spilling into the hallway. I froze. There were only two explanations. One, I turned it on and forgot. Two, someone else had been inside. I stood there in my living room, keys still in my hand, listening for any movement. The apartment felt too still again, like someone had been inside moments before and was now holding their breath. I checked every corner, under the bed, inside the shower, even behind the curtains. Nothing. But the feeling stayed with me, like the air had been disturbed, like the room still held someone else's presence. The third sign was the one I couldn't explain away. You know how you can feel the difference between something you think you misplaced and something that has been moved? One night I opened my fridge and noticed that the items inside were rearranged. My milk, which was on the right side of the top shelf the night before, was now on the left. The ketchup was in a completely different position. It wasn't messy. It was organized. Too organized. Everything inside my fridge was lined up perfectly straight, like someone had taken their time. That was when I felt real fear. That was when I realized this wasn't forgetfulness. Someone had been in my apartment multiple times. The night everything came together was the night I stopped ignoring the signs. I came home around 11:35 p.m. Same routine as always. But this time, I noticed something before even reaching my door. My doormat, again, shifted. But this time, it wasn't just crooked, it was completely flipped over. My heart dropped. I reached slowly for my keys, but then I noticed something that chilled me deeper than anything else. The doorknob. It was slightly turned, like someone had been holding it, gently, recently. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, barely breathing, trying to decide if I should unlock it or run. But before I could choose, a faint sound came from inside my apartment. A metallic click, like the soft shut of a cabinet. Something was moving inside. That was enough for me. I walked backwards down the hallway, turned, and sprinted out of the building. I didn't even try to be quiet. I called the police and waited outside in the cold, watching my apartment window like a hawk. They arrived within minutes and went in with their flashlights drawn. I waited outside, pacing, my stomach twisted into knots. After about 5 minutes, one of the officers came out and told me they didn't find anyone. But they did find something else. Something that made my blood turn cold. Sure. There were footprints. Small, deliberate footprints on my kitchen floor. Muddy ones, leading from the back window to the hallway. The officer asked if I had left the window unlocked. I told him I never opened it, ever. And then he said something I still think about today. Whoever was inside your apartment, they weren't rushing. These footprints are slow, even, like they had plenty of time. The officers checked the window and found faint marks on the outside wall. Climbing marks. Someone had been getting into my apartment through the back window, repeatedly, watching me, studying me, learning my exact routine, because I never varied it, not once. They probably knew when I left, when I came home, when I slept, when I showered. They probably watched me dozens of times without me realizing. And the scariest part, we never found out who it was. My window didn't face a street or walkway. It faced a narrow alley behind the building that only maintenance workers used. No cameras, no witnesses, no leads. I moved out 2 days later, and now, even when I'm home alone in a completely different place, I never follow a perfect routine anymore. Because the moment your life becomes predictable, someone else can live inside it too. I used to work early morning shifts at my old job, so my bedtime was always earlier than most people's. I'd usually be in bed by 9:30 or 10 p.m. At the time, I was living alone in a small one-bedroom apartment on the first floor of a quiet complex. Quiet was the whole point. I wanted somewhere peaceful, somewhere predictable, somewhere where nothing ever really happened. Then one night proved to me that peaceful doesn't always mean safe. It was late, close to midnight, when I was first woken up by a faint sound. It didn't register right away. I thought maybe it was part of a dream or just the pipes in the walls, but it came again. Knock, soft, almost polite. I lifted my head and listened, half asleep. Knock. I sat up. That one was louder, definitely real. Someone was at my door. I checked the time, 12:07 a.m. No one I knew would show up at that hour, and if they did, they would call me first. I slipped out of bed and walked quietly to the front door. I didn't turn on any lights, just looked through the peephole. At first, I didn't see anything. Then she stepped into view. A woman, mid-40s maybe, long dark hair, thin, almost frail-looking, wearing a coat that looked too big for her. She wasn't facing the door directly. She was looking down at the ground, both hands tucked into her sleeves. She didn't say a word, just stood there. Then she knocked again. Knock, knock. Not frantic, not violent, but slow, steady, almost expectant. I felt a chill run up my back. Something about the way she stood there, head down, completely still, made the situation feel wrong. I kept my voice low. "Can I help you?" She didn't respond. I cleared my throat and tried again, louder this time. "Ma'am, do you need something?" Still nothing. No movement, no sound. She didn't even raise her head, just stood there. I backed away from the door and grabbed my phone. My mind was racing. Maybe she was lost, or intoxicated, or in some kind of trouble. But something deep in my gut told me not to open the door. When I got back to the peephole, she had moved closer, much closer. She was now right in front of the door. So close her hair almost brushed the wood. And this time, she was looking straight into the peephole. But because she was standing so close, I couldn't see her whole face. Only one eye, wide open, unblinking, staring. I stumbled back, heart hammering. Every instinct in my body screamed at me, "Do not open that door." She spoke for the first time then. Her voice was soft, shaky, and too calm. "Please, let me in." I froze, because the way she said it, not desperate, not scared, it sounded rehearsed, like she had practiced the sentence over and over. I swallowed hard. "I can call someone for you if you need help." She didn't answer. She didn't move. Then she said the same exact words in the exact same tone. "Please, let me in." That was enough. I backed into my bedroom, grabbed my phone and called the police. While I waited, I kept checking the peephole every few seconds, and every time, she was still there, staring, unmoving, repeating that same phrase. "Please let me in." But here's the part that still makes my skin crawl when I think about it. She never knocked again. She never tried the doorknob. She never got angry or impatient. She just waited, like she knew she had time. When the police finally arrived, maybe 12 minutes later, she was gone. Completely gone. No sign of her walking away. No footsteps. No doors heard opening. Just empty silence. One of the officers asked me to describe her, and when I did, he exchanged a look with his partner. Then he told me something that twisted my stomach into a knot. There was a report earlier tonight of a woman matching that description, trying doors at another complex about 2 miles from here. According to the caller, she wasn't asking for help. She just kept trying to get people to open up. He paused. And once someone opened their door a crack, she tried to force her way inside. I must have gone pale because the officer immediately told me I did the right thing. They took a walk around the property, checked the area, then recommended I keep my windows locked and avoid leaving anything outside. Before they left, the older officer looked me dead in the eyes and said, "If she comes back, don't speak to her. Don't answer the door. Just call us." I barely slept the rest of the night. The next morning, when I stepped outside to go to work, my heart nearly stopped. Right next to my doormat was a handprint, a small, faint, smudged handprint. Right on the concrete, facing upward, as if someone had crouched there and rested their hand while waiting. I moved out 2 months later. I don't know who that woman was. I don't know why she picked my door. And I don't know what would have happened if I'd opened it. But now when I hear a knock late at night, I don't check the peephole. I turn off the lights and wait for whoever or whatever is outside to go away. I used to think the creepiest part of living alone was the silence. No roommates, no family, no background noise except the hum of the fridge or the clicking of the heater. But I learned something much scarier than silence: being watched without knowing it. This happened about a year ago. I had just moved into a small house, not an apartment, which already felt weird because there were no neighbors on either side. The houses were spaced far apart, separated by yards and trees. It was peaceful, but isolated. My friends told me the place looked like a perfect horror story setting, and I laughed until it became one. Everything started on a Thursday night. I had fallen asleep on the couch after a long day at work. I woke up around 1 a.m. to the TV still playing some late-night infomercial. I reached for the remote but froze before touching it. My living room curtains were open. That might not sound like a big deal, but I never open them at night. I'm paranoid about people seeing through windows, especially in a dark house where the lights make you a silhouette. My stomach tightened. I closed the curtains immediately. I tried to brush it off. Maybe I opened them earlier and forgot. Maybe I just didn't notice. I tried to convince myself the simplest explanation was probably the right one, but I kept thinking, what if someone else opened them? I shook the thought away and went to bed. The next night, though, things got worse. It started with my name. Around 11:45 p.m., I heard something outside my house. Footsteps on the gravel in my driveway. Slow, crunching, getting closer. I went completely still. The footsteps stopped right under my living room window. I turned the TV off and waited. At first, nothing. Just the sound of my own breathing. Then, clear as day, I heard a voice. Soft, male, too close. He said my name. Not loudly, like he was testing it, like he was trying to see if I'd react. He said it again. I felt the blood drain from my face. There is no reason someone should be outside my house that late knowing my name. No deliveries, no friends, no neighbors. Nobody who would show up unannounced. I stayed perfectly silent. After maybe 10 seconds, the footsteps slowly started again, walking around the side of the house. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Then they stopped right outside my bedroom window. I backed away from the wall like something would reach through it. The man whispered again, "I know you're awake." I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. Then he said almost cheerfully, "See you soon." The footsteps walked away, slow, unhurried. I waited almost a full hour before calling the police. They looked around, found nothing, and said it was likely a drunk person who got the wrong house. But drunk strangers don't say your name. They definitely don't circle your house. I tried forgetting about it. I really did. But 2 nights later, something else happened. I was home after work, eating dinner alone, when I heard a faint scratching sound at the front door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Like someone dragging their fingernails lightly down the wood. It lasted maybe 5 seconds, then stopped. I approached the door slowly, heart pounding. I didn't look through the peephole. I was too scared of what I might see. Instead, I checked the security camera on my phone. Black screen. The camera was down. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't unplugged it. Someone else had. I backed away from the door immediately and checked every lock twice. I barely slept that night. The worst part came the next week. I got home from work, walked into my bedroom, and saw something sitting on top of my dresser. A sticky note, yellow, plain. Nothing else on the dresser except that one note. I picked it up with shaking hands. Written on it in messy handwriting was my name. Just my name. No message, no threat, no explanation. Just proof that someone had been inside my house, in my bedroom, probably while I was sleeping. I called the police again. They searched the house, checked the windows, checked the doors. No sign of forced entry. But one officer asked me something that made my skin crawl. "Do you always hide your spare key in the same place?" My heart dropped. I kept it under a brick by the porch steps. Something I thought no one would notice. The officer nodded slowly. Someone found it. They told me to change all the locks immediately and stop leaving a spare key outside. They said it was likely someone messing with me, but I could see in their faces they were uneasy too. That night I didn't sleep at all. The final incident is the one I still have nightmares about. 2 days after finding the sticky note, I came home from work and saw something taped to my front door. A piece of paper. This time the handwriting was bigger, sloppier. It said, "I don't need a key anymore." I scanned the whole yard, the road, the trees. Every shadow looked like a person watching me. I didn't go inside. I called the police again, this time telling them I wasn't staying in the house. They recommended I stay with a friend until I could move. I took one small bag, got into my car, and drove straight to my brother's place. When I returned with police the next morning to grab more of my things, my stomach twisted. The locks on my door were scratched up. Someone had tried to pick them during the night. But what froze me completely was what the officer found on the side of the house. Footprints, dozens of them. Going back and forth from window to window. He had walked the entire perimeter of my house, watching, studying, learning. That same day, I packed everything I could and left. I never slept in that house again. I still think about that man's voice sometimes. Soft, calm, familiar with my name. I don't know how long he had been watching me. I don't know why he chose me. And the scariest part, they never caught him. So now whenever someone says my name unexpectedly, even a stranger at the store, my heart still skips the same way it did when I heard it whispered outside my bedroom window. Living alone in an apartment is different from living alone in a house. You'd think it feels safer. More people around, more eyes, more noise. But sometimes that's what makes it worse. You never know who's watching you from behind another door. When I moved into my last apartment, I picked it because it looked normal. Quiet, simple. A hallway of maybe 12 units. Most people kept to themselves. I liked that. But that changed fast. It started with the man who lived directly across from me. At first, I didn't even notice him. He never said hello, never made noise, never even checked his mail when I was around. But I always had this strange feeling like he knew everything about me, and I mean everything. The first red flag was the doormat. Every apartment had one. Mine said, "Welcome." Others said, "Home sweet home," or nothing at all. But the door across from mine, no mat, just bare floor. That wouldn't matter except one night, coming home from work, there was a mat in front of his door. Old, dirty, torn, like it had been dragged from somewhere else. But someone had written something on it with a marker. 2 words, "Not you." I remember staring at it, feeling like it was meant for me even though it made no sense. I went inside, shook it off, and forgot about it until the next morning. I opened my door to leave, and the mat was gone, like it had never been there. Then the accidental door crack started. Whenever I came home, his door would be open. Not fully, just a few inches, enough for someone inside to look out. But when I glanced over, the door would quietly shut. Every time. It got to the point where I walked down the hallway sideways, shoulders tense, expecting an eye to be staring at me through that crack. One night, though, he didn't shut it right away. I got home late, maybe 12:30 a.m., and there it was. The door cracked open. The light inside was dim, but I could tell someone was standing just behind it. Not walking, not moving, just standing. I froze. Then a hand slowly reached out from behind the door, pale, bony, and pushed it shut. No words, no sound. Just a slow, deliberate close. That was the first night I locked my door twice. Then came the knocking, not on his door, on mine. It was about 3 a.m. The hallway was never loud at night, so the knock sounded impossibly sharp. 3 knocks, slow, even. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. Then a voice said, "I saw you." Not angry, not threatening, just stating it. I stayed silent. I didn't move a muscle. Another knock. "I see you." That phrasing hit differently. Not "I saw you," "I see you." Present tense. I grabbed my phone and was about to call the police when another voice came from outside. A neighbor down the hall yelled, "Hey, cut it out!" Footsteps scrambled. Fast, running, silence. I didn't sleep after that. But the worst night started with a note. A small white paper slipped under my door sometime in the evening. I didn't notice it until I almost stepped on it. I unfolded it. Inside, written in the small, sharp handwriting, was one sentence. "You shouldn't close your curtains." I felt a wave of cold run through me. My curtains stayed closed all the time. I never opened them at night, ever, which meant someone had been watching long enough to notice that. I peeked out the peephole, and I swear on everything, his door was open again, but wider than ever, at least a foot. Enough that I could see part of his living room. Dark, empty, no sound, but someone was standing behind it. Just a shape, still, facing directly at my door. I stepped back immediately, heart hammering. I didn't check again. Things escalated the next morning. I was leaving for work when I saw something on my own doormat. A single key, old, rusty, attached to a little white tag. On the tag was written, "Try it." I felt nauseous just looking at it. I didn't touch it. I used my foot to slide it into a plastic bag and took it downstairs, giving it to management. They said they'd look into it. But all day I had this sick feeling in my stomach, like I knew exactly what the key opened. His apartment. The final incident is something I still don't talk about. It happened 2 days after the key. I got home around 9 p.m., walked into my apartment, and closed the door behind me. But something felt off. The air didn't feel normal. It felt recently disturbed. Then I noticed something that made my knees shake. My bathroom light was on. I never ever leave that light on. My first instinct was to run out, but something held me still. Fear, disbelief, I don't know. I grabbed the heaviest thing near me, a metal bar from my closet, and slowly approached the bathroom. The entire apartment was dead silent. I reached the doorway. The light flickered slightly, and on the bathroom mirror, written with a fingertip in the steam, were 3 words. "You were right." I backed up instantly, heart slamming in my chest. Someone had been inside my apartment. Someone had used my shower long enough to fog the mirror. Someone who knew I suspected something. I ran outside immediately, called the police, and waited with 2 officers while they searched my place. They found nothing. No one hiding, no signs of a break-in. Nothing except one detail that made everything much worse. The shower was still warm. They told me to stay with family or a friend. I didn't even argue. I left that night. Here's the part that still haunts me. The next morning, police knocked on my door at my friend's place. They said they found something. The man across from me, he didn't live there. The unit was supposed to be empty. No lease, no tenant, no record of anyone assigned to it. Whoever was staying in that apartment had been squatting there illegally, and they had been there for months, watching me, listening to me, learning my routine, and worst of all, they were never found. People always talk about the fear of being home alone at night, but the truth is, the fear hits hardest during the day. Because during the day, you don't expect anything to be wrong. This happened on a Saturday afternoon. Bright sunlight, people mowing lawns outside, birds chirping. The last day I ever felt safe in that house. At the time, I was living alone in a small 2-bedroom place my cousin had rented to me. Cheap, quiet neighborhood. Nothing weird until that day. It started with a noise, not a scary noise, just wrong. I was sitting in the living room watching YouTube when I heard something faint coming from the back of the house. It sounded like humming, soft, low, almost like someone humming to themselves in a room with the door closed. I paused the video, leaned forward and listened. The humming didn't stop. It was coming from the spare bedroom, the one at the very end of the hallway, a room I hadn't used once since moving in. I stood up slowly. At first I thought maybe the neighbor's TV was loud, or someone walking past the window, anything else. But the humming was too steady, too close, like it was right against the wall. I walked down the hallway, heart starting to pick up speed. The humming got louder with every step, and when I reached the bedroom door, it stopped, completely. I froze. I waited maybe 10 seconds listening. Nothing. I turned the knob, opened the door. The room was empty, silent, dusty, cold. No open window, no fan, no electronics, nothing that should have made noise. I backed out and closed the door again. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. About an hour later, I heard something else. This time it was coming from the hallway itself, right in front of my bedroom door. Air, breathing, very slow, controlled breathing. Not mine. I tiptoed out of my room and peeked down the hallway. No one was there, but the breathing continued. Closer than before, like someone was standing inches from me. Then it stopped abruptly, like someone slipped away the moment I noticed. My body went cold. I didn't even have a pet. I lived completely alone, and yet the house didn't feel empty. I tried to distract myself. Didn't work. Around 6 p.m., just as the sun was going down, I walked past the spare room again, and that's when I saw it. The door, which I had closed, was now open. Wide open, not halfway, not slightly cracked. Fully, completely open, as if someone wanted me to see inside. The room was dark, and for a split second I thought I saw something move in the corner. A shadow, human-shaped, but too still to be a person. I flicked the hallway light on. Nothing. The room was once again empty. I should have left the house right then, but I didn't. Things escalated at night. They always do. Around 1 a.m., I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Not in the hallway. Inside the spare room. Walking slowly from one side to the other. Rhythmically. Step, step, step. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I stayed in bed frozen, staring at my bedroom door, waiting for something, anything, to happen. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard the door to the spare room creak open, very softly. Then another sound. Breathing. This time, right outside my bedroom door. Slow, steady breathing, almost like the person, or whatever it was leaning their face right up against the door, listening to mine. My throat tightened. I didn't move. The breathing continued for maybe 15 seconds, then stopped. Silence. I lay there for over an hour before I gathered the courage to get up. When I opened my bedroom door, the spare room door was once again wide open, but this time there was something new, a faint trail of dust on the carpet, like someone had dragged their finger along the floor from the spare room to my bedroom door, a perfect line, leading straight to me. The worst part came the next morning. I hadn't slept. I sat on the couch until sunrise. When the light finally came in, I felt safe enough to move. I walked back down the hallway to shut the spare room door and froze mid-step. There was something on the wall now, right next to the spare room door frame. Light, almost invisible unless the sun hit it just right. Smudges, 4 long smudges, finger marks, as if someone had been holding the doorway from the inside, pressing their hand against the wall while watching me. I stood there staring at it, not wanting to believe it. Then I noticed something else on the floor. Under the bed, a shadow, not the bed shadow, a figure's shadow. Perfectly still, like someone was lying under the bed, facing the door, waiting. My whole body turned ice cold. I didn't wait to check. I didn't bend down. I didn't look. I grabbed my keys, walked straight out the front door, and didn't step back inside that house alone again. What the landlord later told me is what still keeps me up at night. A week after moving out, he called me. He said the previous tenant in that house, a man in his 30s, had developed a habit of crawling under beds and staying there for hours. He'd done it in hotels, relatives' homes, anywhere he slept. The man had been removed from the property months before I moved in, but the landlord admitted something quietly. They never found his spare keys,